not every day that you get to sit next to a Grammy-nominated singer, pianist, vocalist, everything. Nicole Zuraitis, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Anne.
I've been wanting to meet you because I've been following your career. Grammy-nominated, 61st Grammy. You wrote with your husband and composed Jolene for Dolly Parton.
We actually arranged, well, Dolly Parton wrote the song.
Right.
Thank God she did. That's all I can say about that. And I fell in love with that song about 10 years ago, and I arranged it, and then my husband, we have a 10-piece ensemble called the Dan Pugach Nanette Plus One. And he rearranged my arrangement. That's why we both got the arranging credit of the Dolly Parton song. And we released it on our album, the Dan Pugach Nanette Plus One. And independently released, and it was nominated.
And you get a call and say, hey, you're nominated for a Grammy, and after toiling away at your singing career, you finally get this call, and what happens?
Weeping.
Weeping, really?
Weeping tears of joy. We were just very, very thankful to, you know, to have the opportunity to attend.
It's a big deal.
It was a big deal for us.
Now, you went to high school in Waterbury.
Right.
When did the music stuff start? When did you want to sing? When did you want to play? When did you start composing?
Well, I always loved music, even though I was kind of keen on sports and theater, etc. But my parents caught me singing to Zippity Doo Dah on the TV screen.
You're how old?
4.
Okay, 4.
Singing along in harmony. And they go, I'm thinking maybe she might do music for a career. And I tried to take piano lessons, but I was too stubborn for that. And then I ended up taking voice lessons from Laura Mashburn in Litchfield, Connecticut. And I went to Holy Cross, and they had a wonderful theater program and a wonderful band program. And from there, I also would go in the summertime, and in exchange for attending camp, I got to be at the Litchfield Jazz Camp since its inception, basically. First as a trombone player.
But you're still affiliated with.
And I'm still there. I've been teaching there now as their lead vocal instructor for the last 7 years, but I've been there for 14 years as a teaching assistant.
That old,
okay, I'll take it.
You're not that old. So you've been traveling around, you're singing in New York City, you're singing around the country. I saw you live at a big jazz festival in Lithuania. Now that's part of your heritage?
Yes. Zuraitis is often confused for Greek, which that's also fine. But my last name is Zuraitis, which is supposed to be Z-I-U-R-A-I-T-I-S, and that's Lithuanian. The other half of me is Italian. And I was contacted by this incredible festival, the Klaipėda Castle Jazz Festival in the north of Lithuania, right on the Baltic Sea, to come and sing with their naval orchestra. And we did the performance, and I sang with their huge orchestra, and they were all in their white naval outfits, and there was 10,000 people. It was just...
Was it thrilling?
It was
had
epic.
To be thrilling.
Yeah, and it was, you know, it was great to bring back, you know, to my family roots.
Now, somewhere in all of this, opera fits in, but you're not singing opera these days. So how did that fit? That's where you started?
Yeah, so I was kind of born with this gigantic voice that nobody knew what to do with. And because of Laura Mashburn and Litchfield and all my teachers, as I was growing up, they said, you know, you have a penchant for singing classical music. And I fell in love with, you know, art song, etc., and also Puccini, and so I ended up going to NYU for opera. And I don't think very many people, besides perhaps Renee Fleming, would go from opera to jazz, but I'm glad that I did, because I got a great technique from it.
And breathing exercises and all of
yeah.
that. I mean, opera, my gosh. Yeah. Can you give me a little scale in opera? Just like...
Sure.
Wow. That's awesome.
I just did that.
That is awesome. All right, so I can't sing at all, so I'm
now you.
No, there is no way. I know my good, strong points and my weak points. You sing, you compose. How do you compose? How does a song come into your head?
Well, it depends. Oftentimes it comes when I'm driving. Which happens all the time.
Were you writing anything today while you were driving here?
No,
from
actually,
Litchfield?
I fell in love with a Patty Griffin song today as I was driving. I listened to it probably 10 times as I was driving. But a lot of times, since we spend a lot of time traveling, I always say that musicians, half of our job is hurry up and wait. So we have to get there, and then we wait, and then that's when a lot of the compositional aspect comes for me during those moments when I'm just kind of staring and I actually have time to relax my mind.
When you write, since I have no idea, do the words come first? Does the melody come first?
Well, apparently with that, nothing comes anywhere.
That's just, you know, fooling around.
I would say melody, maybe harmony comes first. And then lyrics come last, because I often feel like when I am songwriting, the lyrics is like reading a diary out loud.
Sure.
And that's rather terrifying.
Now, NYU, did you learn to play the piano, or is that from a child?
No, so my uncle Robert Nave, he's a wonderful pianist, and he tried to give me lessons when I was young, and I was too stubborn, and I was like, why would I read music if you just play it and then I can hear it and play it back? So then I tried to take Suzuki piano lessons, and then too stubborn for that. But then, as fate would have it, I moved to New York City, no longer doing opera in 2009, and auditioned for a club date agency to sing at corporate events, and I auditioned just singing, and then they said, great, now can you dance? I was like, oh, kind of.
Sing, dance, act, right?
Right, and so I danced a little, and then they said, now can you like really get me riled up and woo? And I said, no, that's definitely not my thing. So, but I can play the piano, kind of. So I went over and I played a Journey song terribly, and they said, potential, you're hired. And so I learned how to play the piano pretty much in 2009 by shadowing excellent piano players in New York City on the bandstand at places like the Pierre or the Mandarin Oriental or the Plaza Hotel.
You just make it work.
Yeah,
You
and I
just
spent a
figured it
lot of hours just like, why didn't I listen to my parents? Yeah.
So how did you get to jazz? What is it about jazz that moves you?
Well, I mean, having the Litchfield Jazz Camp in my backyard growing up was really influential on me. I love the improvisational aspect of jazz. I like that there are no like real rules or confines, and that you can kind of meld between genres. And
Who did you love growing up? Is it Sarah Vaughan? Is it who is it?
Ella Fitzgerald was my number one love. I found her record at Strawberries in Torrington, R.I.P. And I loved listening to her Love Song album. And then a lot of the teachers that I got to study with at that camp, I really respected, like Sheila Jordan and Kevin Mahogany, and also instrumentalists that I fell in love with, such as Miles Davis or Bill Evans, the keyboardist. The list goes on, but I just liked it because the harmony to me was complex but beautiful. So
give me a little bit of a jazz song that you like.
Misty?
Love it. Give me something that you can sing a few bars.
Okay. What a difference a day makes. 24 little hours brought the sun and the flowers where there used to be rain. My yesterdays were blue, dear. Keep going.
Sure.
Today I'm part of you, dear. My lonely nights are through, dear. Since you said you were mine, what a difference they made.
Awesome. I love your voice. How would you describe your voice? I mean, if somebody said, Nicole Zuraitis sounds like, or do you just sound like you? Are there bits and pieces of different artists in there?
Sure. I love Eva Cassidy. I love Sarah Bareilles, and I love Ella Fitzgerald. I love Stevie Wonder, and I also love Whitney Houston. So
there's a whole lot going on.
There's a whole lot of influences that come in, and I think that my voice, the older I get, becomes more unique to me, and I hope that at some point, 10 years down the line, someone will say, oh, I hope I sound like Nicole when I grow up. But for now, I'm just thrilled if someone says I sound like anybody.
What's the game plan?
Another album.
Do you want another album? Do you want to write for people? Do you want to be on the stage? What's the ultimate for Nicole?
Singing at festivals is, I absolutely love. I love traveling the world. I love experiencing different cultures. So if I could do that as much as possible with music, that's the goal. Especially with my husband, since him and I work together, Dan Pugach.
How'd you guys meet?
We met through a fellow faculty member at the Litchfield Jazz Camp when I moved to New York in 2009, pre-piano playing at a bar 5 blocks from where we live right now. This piano player, Jolene Shore, said, "You really should meet this drummer. He's a great drummer." And yeah, and so I met him, and he came to one of my shows, and next thing you know, we were musically bonded first, then best friends. And so that musical bond has kept us together for the last 10 years.
And how fun, because your husband gets this, right?
Right.
He gets being on the road, he gets long hours, working at night, all of that stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
What did growing up as a high school student in Waterbury and living in Litchfield in Connecticut do for you as a performer, do you think?
Well, I'm very fortunate that my parents gave me anything that I'd like, truly. If I wanted to do sports, I got to do sports. If I had a penchant for singing, I got to take lessons. I didn't want for anything, which I think a lot of people don't realize how lucky they are if they have that. So when I went to Holy Cross, it's because both my parents are from Waterbury, and they wanted me to experience a little bit more of a diverse world than from Litchfield. And from there, I'm so glad I went, because I got to learn all different types of music and experience different foods and cultures. And because of that, you know, I think that's why I love traveling, and I have like an open heart. And I just, yeah, I would chalk up being a, you know, well-rounded person to going to school in all different places.
Which you are, and so very humble. It is so wonderful to meet you, Nicole.
Incredible, Anne.
So wonderful to meet you. And I'm going to stop talking so that we can hear Nicole play.
Oh, great. Let's do some Ray Charles. I sing this at Birdland in New York City with a big band, but it also mentions coffee, which I love. Let me tell you about a boy I know. He is my baby and he loves me so. Every morning before the sun comes up, he brings me coffee in my favorite cup. That's why I know, yes I know, oh hallelujah, I just love him so. Woo. When I'm in trouble and I have no friends, I know he goes with me until the end. Everybody asks me how I know. I smile at them and say I told you so. That's why I know, yes I know, hallelujah, I just love him so. Now if I call him on the telephone and tell him that I'm all alone, by the time I count on 1 or 4, I hear him on my door in the evening when the sun goes down. When there is nobody else around, he kisses me and he holds me tight and tells me, baby, baby, everything's all right. That's why I know, yes I know, hallelujah, I just love him so. Hallelujah, I just love him so. Hallelujah, I just love him so. Hallelujah, I just love him so.
Spend all night kissing, and if was right here, then who else is missing? Got a little sidetracked if I'm so wishing to find the keys to the door, but it's also a metaphor. Need to keep locked in the grocery store of my mind. Just to save time, skip right ahead to the last ride.